Hello and welcome back to Look Movie Recaps. Today, we are going to recap a 2017 movie named Kidnap. Keep alert, spoilers incoming. The movie opens with videos of young Frankie during the different stages of his growth, evolving slowly with the help of his mother, Carla Dyson. He advances into a healthy boy. Carla is a single mother who works as a waitress at a cafe and happens to be a hardworking lady. Her shift is nearly done, but the other waiter hasn't yet arrived, and she is planning for an outing with her son. She holds on under the pressure from the various customers until the person for the next shift arrives. She calls Frankie to head to the park, and the two are now in a vehicle heading there. Carla loves Frankie a lot because he is the only person her life is committed to. She promises him to meet his dad over the weekend, who is now married to another woman. Finally, they arrive at the park, and while Frankie enjoys the games, Carla sits with another parent watching him. Frankie is now 6 years old, and they normally play Marco Polo, which brings fun to both of them. They proceed to watch the show, but shortly, Carla receives a call from her lawyer and informs Frankie to stay on the chair. Over the call, it's learned that Frankie's dad wants primary custody of Frankie. Carla keeps checking on where she left Frankie while still on the call. Her battery runs out, hence returning to where she left Frankie. Shockingly, Frankie is missing, but she thinks he is hiding, playing their Marco Polo game. She calls him out loud, but when she notices his toy recorder, she begins to worry because he doesn't normally leave it behind. Shortly, she notices one woman dragging him into a car and runs after them, but the car doors get locked. They drive away, and she holds onto the car, screaming for help, until she falls off. Her phone slips behind while pursuing them, and she runs towards her car to chase them before they go further. Realizing that her phone is missing, her only chance is to chase them. Suddenly, the traffic lights hold them, and she goes to see if she can get Frankie, but the car is locked. She requests the car in front not to leave, but when the lights go green, all the cars drive away with the kidnappers too. Heads back to her vehicle and continues with the chase. Being on a highway, she feels nervous about the speed she is driving. Having lost their sight, she prays to God for only one thing: to recover her son. Suddenly, she notices them again, but shortly they drive off to another route. She also instantly stops and reverses to follow them. The chase continues, though the kidnappers are also not willing to give up that easily. She requests some help, but the other driver isn't able to listen to her. The kidnappers throw some items to distract her, but she dodges them. They send her a tire, which passes over her, causing an accident, and Carla barely survives. She proceeds with the chase and turns on the radio to find out if the news is covering the events on the highway, but not really. She drives faster to reach near them, and they show her Frankie. They force her to branch off, or else they would kill Frankie. She persists, but upon seeing a blade, she decides to give up and let them go. She keeps a sight on them, knowing that if she loses them, Frankie would be gone forever. She looks at his picture and suddenly changes her heart to go hunt them again and gets fully committed to doing what it takes to get Frankie back. She manages to notice them again and keeps a close distance while following them. Over the radio, it's learned that the police are looking for Carla's vehicle because it caused an accident, which gives Carla hope that if they find her, they would find Frankie too. Suddenly, she notices Frankie's toy recorder, and upon listening to it, she comes across a recording. When the kidnapper approached Frankie, he was tricked into thinking that his mom was looking for him, and the kidnapper pretended to be a friend to Carla. Shortly, she notices a police officer on a motorbike, hence driving crazily to capture his attention. He approaches her, and she informs him about Frankie's kidnap, but the officer is only focused on her bad driving. He commands her to pull over, though she insists on informing him about Frankie's kidnap. Suddenly, the kidnappers knock him unaware and get stranded between the two vehicles. The cars branch off the road, leaving the officer down, and the kidnappers proceed with the run. They meet a dead end, hence stopping to turn around. Carla stops as well and moves out to see what's next. After some time, a man named Terry moves out and heads towards Carla. He gets a blade and runs to finish her, but she manages to reverse the car until he gives up. She then chases him back but suddenly stops, knowing that Frankie might be killed too if she kills him. She asks him what they want and provides him with her purse containing her credit cards as well as the PIN code. She informs him that the only thing she wants is her son and won't even report to the police if she gets him. She promises to pursue them no matter what until she gets Frankie back. Terry picks the purse and moves back to the car without saying a word. She hears Frankie screaming, and then a woman named Margot moves out to approach her, hands locking herself inside the car. She asks Carla if she can provide them with $10,000 in exchange for Frankie, and Carla confirms she can offer it to them. Margot persuades her to open the car so that they can ride together, and when they collect the money, they would let Frankie go. Carla opens for her and starts to drive again, following the kidnapper's car because the woman assured her that everything would be fine the moment they collect the money. After a while, they enter a tunnel where Margot attacks Carla, and a fight begins inside the car as they control the vehicle. Margot starts to strangle her with a seat belt, but Carla manages to throw her outside upon moving out of the tunnel. She puts on Margot's sweater, disguising herself as Margot to trick Terry into moving ahead. They proceed with the journey, though Carla distances herself to avoid being noticed. She learns that they were planning on finishing her, though her vehicle seems to be running out of fuel. They drive for some time with everything going on normally, but after a while, Terry realizes that it's only Carla inside the car. He drives faster and threatens to throw Frankie outside, which breaks Carla. She stops and lets them go. After a while, she comes across a family fishing. She looks at Frankie's car seat, which prompts her to call the man and request him to call the police, telling him that her son has been kidnapped. She provides him with the car description of the kidnappers and proceeds to run after them. She drives for a while without any sign of them but suddenly notices the car after it caused an accident. She drives off the road, skipping the traffic, and later reaches the scene where the car is noticed. She asks about the whereabouts of the people who were inside and gets informed that they left already but directs her to a nearby police station. She reaches the police station where she reports her case description of Frankie and that of Terry. The officer seems busy, hence telling her to wait, but Carla informs her that it's getting late and Frankie might be killed soon. She then asks for a phone to call Frankie's dad, but while talking to him, she notices a lot of unsolved cases of missing children. This shocks her, and she realizes she won't be helped, hence running back to her car to do the work herself. She drives on the streets and shortly comes across Terry's jacket at the bin. She senses that since he didn't have a car, he might be looking for a vehicle. Suddenly, she notices one car and realizes it might be the one he got, hence knocking it in the process. One woman gets knocked down, and she realizes that another car is going to finish her, hence sacrificing her car as a barrier to save her. Knowing that she is safe, Carla proceeds to pursue Terry, driving as fast as she can. Seeing the car not far from her, she keeps on the run, though her car seems to be running out of fuel. Carla drives faster so that she captures him before the fuel fails her, but Terry blocks all the possible ways of her getting close to him. She starts to knock his car, avoiding him from opening the door, but unfortunately, the fuel lets her down, giving Terry a chance to distance himself. With the car doomed, she tries to chase Terry on foot but shortly gives up. She then notices another vehicle approaching and stops it for help. When the man inside stops, she requests him to call the police. He informs her that there's a dead end where Terry went, but shockingly, Terry returns and runs into their vehicle. After a while, Carla is still alive and struggles to move out to check Terry's car, but he nearly shoots her. She manages to flee and runs inside her car, locking herself inside. He attacks her and loads his gun before hitting the door glass to open the car. Carla holds his hand and removes the handbrake, making the vehicle run backwards into the woods, and the branches pierce Terry after the crash. Carla tries to question him about Frankie's whereabouts, but he barely says anything. She checks his wallet and learns of his address, which she checks on the navigation. She moves out and decides to walk the rest of the journey. After a while, she comes across the house in the woods. She stealthily approaches it and moves inside with a lot of care. While moving ahead, the telephone rings, and she witnesses Margot, who she encountered earlier over the phone. Margot negotiates the price after confirming they got another kid. Carla watches her moving to another house, hence reaching the telephone. She calls the police while she sets herself with a knife. After hearing strange noises, she finds out it's a dog and reports to the police about the kidnap. They promise her to arrive within 7 to 15 minutes. Margot returns, calling Terry, thinking he is back, but shortly notices a gun. Though Carla is holding her breath tightly, not seeing Terry, Margot moves out to go check on him. Carla witnesses her leave. She then notices the leftover pizza, which makes her realize that it might be a lead. She moves out and heads to the house where she saw Margot going earlier. Before she moves in and starts to look around at everything, checking for Frankie, she suddenly hears him and realizes he is locked up in the ceiling. She even hears 2 more children who also happen to be kidnapped. Frankie tries to move down, but Margot has also returned with a lot of anger. Carla hits the pipe in the ceiling to create more space, though Margot has heard, hence loading her gun to go after them. Carla manages to get Frankie down, but the other 2 girls feel scared and request for their mom. Margot releases the dog to go after Carla and Frankie, who have reached the dock. Upon seeing the dog, they disguise the boat as though they are leaving. Margot reaches the dock to shoot at the boat, though Carla and Frankie are hiding in the water just beneath her. Unfortunately, the dog senses their presence, but before Margot shoots, Carla pulls her into the water and starts to strangle her. They struggle for a while until Carla drowns her and confirms she is dead before embracing Frankie. Later on, she returns to the room to collect the rest of the girls, but shortly another man comes inside with a gun. She informs him that her kid had been kidnapped, but the neighbor says he knew the Terrys for 14 years and they weren't kidnappers. Suddenly, he hears the kids and moves to call them down, but Carla wonders when he calls them girls, yet she hadn't told him that they are girls. She hits him with a shovel when he was planning to shoot her. She later comforts Frankie, telling him that things would get better. Later, the police arrive at the scene, and Carla, along with the rest of the children, gets secured. Over the news, they applaud Carla for her heroic work saving her son, which led to the arrest of other kidnappers, bringing the movie to the end. Thanks for watching. If you are new, don't forget to subscribe for more of these recaps. Until next time, have a nice day.